Why are banks only open while people are at work school? Let me tell you about the 1970s, my friend. Banks were only open when most people were at work and there were no ATMs, no debit cards, and very few people had credit cards. You wanted cash, and you weren't lucky enough to have a bank with a drive-through on Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon. You had to find a liquor store to cash a check. The average person isn't paying their salaries. The businesses and rich folks are paying their salaries, and they have no issue getting their banking business done during those hours. The average person is just a collection of surcharge fees and overage fees and monthly maintenance fees. The bank doesn't really have an interest in seeing those people. Y'all just want to cash a check or complain about fees. It's way better than it used to be. Bank hours used to be 9-3 Monday, Thursday, 9-5 on Friday, no Saturday, no ATM, no apps. Find a different bank. I use TD Toronto Dominion Bank, East Coast of the US. My local branch has Thursday, Friday open until 7 p.m., then Sat-Sun hours. Other banks near me like Citibank, Santander, and PNC all have Saturday hours 9 a 1 p. Like another commenter, I remember the 1970s when bank hours really were just 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Friday, and you had no other options. Today's options are a lot more convenient than things were. During the day when everyone is at work is the best time to get stuff done. People who work at banks can't fucking access doctor's appointments or shit either. It's fucking stupid. I've always wondered this about lots of businesses that aren't open at all often on weekends. I think it is somewhat of a safety issue to be open very early or late. Also, it might have something to do with the Federal Reserve not being open outside of regular business hours. The people who work at the bank are also people at work. People still go to banks? I guess this is another question for this sub, and maybe I'm unaware of what things are like in the USA assuming, but I've had to go to a physical bank maybe once in the last 15 years. What do you as an average person even do there that you can't do online? Normal business hours were structured primarily when houses had an extra adult to run around and do errands. A lot of them haven't figured out that that adult had to go to work a long time ago. It's partly due to tradition. Back when people could afford to buy a house for a couple cents and some pocket lint, there were these people called stay-at-home wives. They typically ran errands and maintained the home while the big strong men did their jobs during the day. Unless you're making a decent living, cost of living dependent, that's not really a thing anymore. But also, because the world grew up a bit and realized that women are people too and they should be allowed to have a career and passions instead of being home maintaining. I worked at a bank. Most of our customers were old people or junkies, so they didn't work anyway. Same with the DMV. I haven't been in a bank for several years. I wonder if there were any 24-hour banks back in the day. Lots of banks have Saturday hours and most are open long enough to hit them before or after work. Unless you really need to cash a check instead of deposit, that's all done online now with your phone. If you need to wire transfer large sums, you're a salary dude anyway. The only real reason to go to a bank is the free coffee. I haven't needed to go into a bank for over 10 years now. When my local branch closed, it had 3 private regular customers. This is in a small town and suburb of a city. Normally in my country, banks open earlier than most shops and most office hours to allow retail customers to use them. So when someone shows up or leave early, you can say, "I wish I worked banker hours,"